All right. Welcome, everyone. I am Dr. Brady Wyrick. We'll give people just a couple more moments here to get joined up with us, and we will rock and roll. In the meantime, I appreciate everyone being here. And yeah, we'll give people just a couple more seconds here to log on. All right. If you're not on now, you're going to jump on late. So listen, let me start off by just saying this. If you stick with me for the next few minutes, I am going to share with you exactly how we've helped so many people with autoimmune problems like lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, neuropathy, seizure disorders, diabetes, thyroid problems. The list goes on and on and on and on. But can you really imagine what life would be like without symptoms? Actually being able to lose some weight, reducing your pain. Imagine what it would be like without brain fog, better sleep, more energy. But imagine this. What would it be like to do that without taking medication? Okay? So you stick with me for the next few minutes. That's exactly what I'm going to share with you. So most people, myself included, will leave a webinar within 5 minutes. Have you ever done that? I know I have. But I promise you, I'm going to bring you all my energy, all my passion, to keep you engaged, but in return, I just need you to stay here. Stay with me. If you stick with me until the end, I promise it's going to be worth your time. All right, so what I am going to ask you, though, is for your full attention. I'm going to ask you to turn off your cell phone. Turn off Twitter, turn off Facebook, turn off Instagram, and just stick with me. This is only going to take about 20 minutes. I promise it's not going to take any longer than that. So if you just shut those things down for me, grab your pen and paper, let's take some notes, let's get this moving. So next question is, what qualifies me? Right? Well, as I said before, my name is Dr. Brady Wyrick. I am a chiropractor, and I have been doing this type of work for about 12 years now. Okay? I've been here in East Idaho the whole time. I opened my own practice. And yes, I went to chiropractic school. Yes, I learned how to move bones. Yes, I do enjoy moving bones, but no, it is not the bulk of my practice. My practice is specified around functional neurology and functional medicine. I'll share with you what that means. I have been an instructor, but my favorite job on this planet is being a husband and a father. In fact, I'm going to show you a picture of my crew here in just a little bit. So I came to Idaho Falls at the beginning of my career because I love to fish. And there's a lot of great fishing here, hence the picture. Yes, that came from Southeast Idaho. I will not tell you where. But I went to chiropractic school because I wanted to help people, and I wanted to do it without people taking drugs or medication. I fell in love with neurology while I was in school, and my practice has evolved over the 12 years to what it is today. But functional neurology and functional medicine is basically this. If you wanted to build a bigger bicep, you would do that through exercising. If you exercise your bicep and ate nothing but McDonald's, your bicep is not going to get bigger. But if you exercised and ate whole food, your bicep will get much bigger, much stronger. Your brain and your nerves work on that exact same principle, and that exact same principle applies to autoimmune conditions. As promised, here's my kiddos. Here's my crew. Hey, I got married last September, and together we've got 8 kiddos. Yes, it is a house full when we have them all together. But as I said, this is my favorite job, is being a husband, father, and stepfather to these awesome kids. I'm going to tell you a crazy story. That crazy story is my wife has lupus. Notice that I say has. I did not say had. That's right. I didn't cure her. But I did make her whole life a whole lot better through some of the, not by marrying her, I'm not saying that, but by some of the principles I'm about to show you and teach you. She now has more energy. She sleeps better, less swelling, less medication. Can you imagine what that would be like for you? It boggles my mind. And I have a hard time because it's really hard for me to have empathy because I really don't know what you feel like. Yes, I have been chronically sick. And I should show you a picture right now of me as I was going through chemotherapy back in 2009. I had testicular cancer, but I'm not going to show you that picture because I want to get on with the show here with this webinar. But don't worry about me. Everything is fine. But I do know what it feels like to be sick, but it was unfair for me because I knew there was an end date and I knew there was a begin date. So that all being said, before Kim met me, okay, her story was just like yours. Okay, she had a stressful event in her life. Everything went spiraling downhill from there. She went into several years of that survival mode. You know, when you're living the life that keeps your brain in that fight or flight response. Yeah, we'll get into it a little bit later, but she was beginning to experience crippling fatigue, pain, swelling in her legs. In fact, if you know my wife, she's very petite. This is her leg on the left. Before she started with me, she'd have these occasional bouts where her leg would swell to this. This is her leg just recently, and she does not have these intermittent swelling issues anymore. In fact, it still just boggles my mind that was her. Right? But she's just like you. She went to doctor after doctor. She went to specialist after specialist. In fact, I remember seeing, even before we started dating, I saw a picture of her on Facebook when her dad was flying her from here in Idaho Falls over to Boise to see a specialist. And remember, the specialist told her the same thing. Here's your drugs. You have lupus. Learn to live with it. Nothing we can do. Just take this medication. You'll be fine. I've heard this story time and time again. I hear it every day in this office. Hey, it won't be my first time when you actually tell it to me. Interesting thing, I hear that same story over and over again. You know what people tell me after they meet? After we meet for the first time, after we sit down and figure out exactly what's wrong with me? Almost every single one of them are so thrilled to actually have some hope. And that's really what I'm hoping to deliver to you tonight. Okay? But here is my disclaimer. Nothing that I say in this webinar has been evaluated by the FDA. I do not diagnose or treat any disease, neither do the products that I recommend. And I never, ever tell anyone to take their medications or not take their medications. So that is not what I'm here to do. It's illegal for me to do that. I'm just telling you what I see and some of the changes that we make. Okay? Moving on. What is an autoimmune condition? An autoimmune condition is when your immune system turns against you and attacks you. And there's 3 different types. You can have silent autoimmunity when your immune system is attacking areas that you don't even know about because there's no symptoms yet. Or there's reactive autoimmunity when it's being attacked, they just don't have a diagnosis for it yet. Or there's flat out just autoimmune disease, which basically means the immune system is attacking an area so much that there's tissue destruction and they can give it a diagnosis. Hey, this picture here is from a workshop we did, which is actually about healthy salad dressings of all things. But I asked my staff to make a list of all of the things that we've helped people with over the last 12 years and write them on the board. So this is the board that's actually in my office. This is the list they've came up with. And all of these have one thing in common. They're all immune system problems. They're all autoimmune problems. Okay, so if I can share with you just one message at all from this entire thing, the message is this, is that your body can heal. But there's 3 secrets involved with the body healing that I'm going to share with you. You need to write these secrets down. The secrets are this. Number 1 is that you have a bad gut. Number 2 is that nerves that fire together can actually wire together. And number 3 is that you can gain control of your immune system. So we're going to spend the rest of the time talking about these 3 particular items. So secret number 1, let's just get into it. Secret number 1 is that you have a bad gut. And your gut is your immune system. 70 to 80% of your immune system is found in your gut, which starts in your mouth and ends in your anus. But more specifically, we're going to talk about the small intestine here for a little bit. A healthy small intestine, the cells are a single cell layer thick, and they look like this. Tightly packed together, nice healthy nucleus, nice healthy hair cells, these little undulating guys down here. And basically what these guys are doing are taking the nutrients from the food that you eat, letting the nutrients absorb into the bloodstream and keeping the pathogens out here. Okay, so every single one of these little pathogens, I took this from Trends in Molecular Medicine. When we don't have a healthy gut, when we go through stressful events, when we get ourselves in that fight or flight response, the junctions between these cells actually break it apart and they create gaps. When that happens, these pathogens on this side, well, two things. The pathogens are going to allow to go through, and the food that you eat goes through undigested and gets into the system as well. And this guy right here is what we call a macrophage from your immune system. This is an inflammatory cell. So it creates inflammation from bad gut function, and that inflammation spills over to you, and wherever you're genetically predisposed to have that attack happen, that's where it's going to happen to you. So if it's lupus, it's a connective tissue thing. If it's a thyroid, it's your thyroid. If it's an autoimmune adrenal thing, it's your adrenal thing. On and on and on we go, all originating from the gut. And we're going to talk about specific steps that you can take here. You also have these things called gut bugs. You have microbacteria, but just bacteria, excuse me, my head's going somewhere else. You have bacteria in your system that is supposed to be there. You can't live without it. It can't live without you. But unfortunately, when we go through the standard American diet, when we go through antibiotics, treatment for different diseases, we wipe that normal flora out, and then we have an overgrowth of the bad gut bugs. That's why we have to say that in here, is that you have some bad gut bugs that are happening. We can figure all this out through proper testing and through getting your history. Your brain and your gut are inseparably connected. That's the third part of this. Hey, there you have a literal, in your brain, a lobe of your brain called the insular lobe, which is 100% responsible for gut function. And when this breaks down, guess what happens to your brain? That's right. That's why you have brain fog, depression, anxiety, sleeplessness, weight gain, all because this connection is broken down. Hey, that's number 3 to this first secret. Secret number 2 is that nerves that fire together, they actually wire together. Your brain absolutely 100% controls everything. Okay, this is Michelle. Michelle was a patient of mine that had an autoimmune reaction after she had a mesh implant put in her pelvis from her bladder prolapsing. And what happened is when that mesh implant got in there, her immune system went berserk and started attacking her thyroid, everything else, made her feel like crap most of the time. Then last summer, the precipitating event was she got whacked in the back of the head by a tree branch that blew off of a tree. All of a sudden, she had a traumatic brain injury, and it just destroyed her life. Vertigo. Could not, and she's self-employed, couldn't work, couldn't move, all because her brain was now under a severe immune reaction. Okay, so we got her diet cleaned up. We got her some nerve stimulation. We got nerves that were broken. We got them to fire again and wire together again. And I will tell you that Michelle's life is completely different now because of the things that we've done for her. She's actually able to do her job, to run her business. She's doing really, really well. Okay, now back to the story. Is your hypothalamus is actually the master gland. So when you get under stress, this hypothalamus, if you put your finger, like right here, here's my eyes, okay, right here between my eyes, just behind that, probably 3 inches, is your pituitary gland hanging down. Right above that is your hypothalamus. So when your body gets under stress, it's going to affect that hypothalamus and drive these inflammatory pathways to make it worse and worse and worse. And that's exactly what was happening with Michelle. We got her turned around. It was awesome. But what would that be like if that was you? What if it was that simple? But the point I'm trying to make is that you can actually build new nerves, and hey, look at that. Even after proofreading 1,000 times, I still have a misspelling in there. But you can build new nerves. That is the secret to secret number 2. Secret number 3 is getting control of your own immune system, which you can do, and you have to remove the triggers, which we will talk about. But I threw this picture in here because I'm an airplane enthusiast. No, I am not a pilot. But I was out on a bicycle ride one day, and this airplane was crop dusting the field that's right here, and I really like airplanes, so I took a picture of it. But then that sweet smell from the stuff that this was dumping out, that the Roundup that they were dumping on the fields, the chemicals, it just reminded me, hey, of what I'm doing for a living, what I do for my life, and that's help people remove some triggers to get their immune system back under control and to help reduce the inflammation and to support the immune system. So that's what I'm going to share with you for secret number 3, is removing these triggers. Number 1, if you want to talk about the foods that are doing this to you, the top 3 are going to be gluten, soy, and dairy, and sugar. So what we recommend for most of our patients is a modified paleo diet. And if these foods do not look appetizing to you, that's okay. Hey, there's still hope. But what we do is we actually do specific testing to figure out what foods you're sensitive to and then make dietary recommendations from there. And most of those are to eliminate gluten, soy, dairy, and sugar. Then we get into gut repair, where there are actually some very specific steps that we can take to allow those cells from your gut. Remember that picture I showed you, the cells separating? Allow those to come back together so that your system can filter itself again. And then there's always the question of probiotics. Look, in some cases they're good for people. In some cases they actually make them worse. Don't know where you are on that spectrum until we actually test them. Reducing the inflammation in your immune system comes down to getting a balance of this TH system. TH stands for T helper cells. These are immune system cells that help you fight off disease. Th1 cells are the first to fight, to break down some of the things that you see here. Th2, these come along to help kind of regulate Th1. But really what we see with autoimmune diseases mostly are Th1 responses, an overactive Th1 response where your own tissue is getting destroyed. And what we do to modulate that is we'll do things like vitamin D therapy with people, or we'll recommend fish oil. Fish oil is very high in omega-3s, which is a very strong anti-inflammatory, which calms this reaction down. And we've been known to also use a little bit of glutathione with people, as long as we're taking out the triggers as much as we can from dietary sources. So those are some of the things we look to there. There's also some enzyme work that we do when we're cleaning out and getting rid of undigested proteins, et cetera, to help reduce that inflammation. So, but those are some simple steps that you can take. But let me ask you something. Let me ask you a question. I know it's a confusing world for you. I know you've been to doctor and doctor, specialist to specialist. I know the doctors have after little to no hope, and I know that you're frustrated. Hey, the reason why I show you this picture here is underneath that blanket is my mother. Hey, my mother's leg. She's not dead. Hey, she's very much alive. Hi, Mom. But this gentleman here, he was a physician's assistant at the Ogden Clinic. I took her for this appointment, and he is very skillfully removing a cancerous lesion from my mom's calf muscle, or from the skin over her calf muscle. And I was really, really impressed with the care that she was given at this clinic. And that's why I threw this in there, because the medical community, they do a really, really good job at a lot of things. But when it comes to the chronic stuff that you're dealing with now, I think there's a lot that can still be done. Hey, so let me ask you this. What if we could do the right lab tests? Hey, this is my mother's lab test. And I'm going to tell you, there's not enough information here to get what we need to help someone. So what if we could actually order the right test to figure out exactly what was wrong? What if we could actually give you answers? What if we could actually help you get over this? Find out what the answers are and make some steps that we can actually help you get back your energy, get the pain levels down, help you live your life again. What if we could give you hope? What if all we did was give you hope? And what would life be like for you if we actually get you results? So that leads us to the question. What is the next step? Well, the next step is we've got to sit down together. And whether preferably that's in person here in the office. But if you don't live here and we need to sit down over the computer, we can do that. But we need to sit down together and figure out a timeline of your life. When did things actually go wrong? And that's what we did for Clarence here. We sat down, we figured out what the precipitating factor was that got him leading down the path to autoimmune diabetes disorders, which is what he had. And in this picture, I think he's about 50 pounds lighter than when we started with him. We got Clarence off of all of his medications, all because we did a proper history and figured out what was going on. The next step would actually be a case review. We do this at the same time. Okay? A case review is when we sit down and look at your case in particular, what's been done, compare that to the history, kind of shows us where we're going from here. And we did that for Colby. Colby's a rheumatoid arthritis case. You've probably seen his video on Facebook. This is on his first day. We got his shoulder range of motion. His immune system was attacking his shoulder so much that it was breaking down. This is the range of motion that he had after the first day. This is what we got him. His rheumatoid arthritis is basically gone as long as he follows the diet that we've built for him. And then we get into what's called a lab review. Lab review is looking into all the tests that have been done, the drugs that you've taken, where are we at now? As in the case with Chris, this guy was a walking pharmacy. He could not take any more painkillers because of his autoimmune condition when we started with him, and he's now off of all of them. Okay, then we get into the actual physical exam. Physical exam was where we sit down together and we figure out exactly what's wrong, what areas are broken down, and how are we going to rebuild them back. That's how Cal had diabetes and neuropathy, all mediated from the immune system. We got it calmed down, got his feet back for him. Last but not least would be the report of findings, when we sit down together and actually find out what's wrong. What's the problem? What steps are we going to take? And where are we going to go from here? And during that report of findings is when we actually discuss cost of everything that we need to do, because insurance and Medicare, they think that we are not medically necessary, which is very, very unfortunate. But so what is the next step? The next step would be sitting down to do all these. And if we looked at the cost for each of these, if we did them individually, timeline of your life, case review, both $50. Lab reviews are usually about $100. Physical exams, $250. Report of findings, $250. So if we added all of those up, it's a total of $700. Obviously, I'm not going to do that to you today because you took time to watch this webinar. But what we are going to do is this. It's a complete case review. Everything that we just talked about for $89, including the report of findings, where I give you direction on where we need to go from here, and my best recommendations on how to help you as fast as we possibly can. That takes us back to that not medically necessary. Unfortunately, insurance companies and Medicare think that we are not necessary, even though when we get these people's lives back, we're going to save them thousands of dollars, but the world we live in, they just don't cover what I've been telling you. That's why I'm saying $89 for a complete case review. Anything we do outside and above that, you will not move from one step to the next in my office without knowing exactly what needs to happen. So if all we did was this, if all we did was find and correct that cause, would that be worth it to you? If all we did is just made some simple lifestyle changes, reduce the medications you use, improve your energy, if all we did were those things, would that be worth it to you? Because you only have one time through this thing that we call life. That's it. One chance. So what I encourage you to take action. You take action now, okay, by either clicking the link below, or I will give you the phone number. Take action now. Normally, what is normally $700 is going to be $89. There's the phone number, 208-523-1620. Call us, click on the link. We'll reach out to you, get you the information you need so we can sit down and start getting you on the right path to truly getting you well. As promised, we kept this at around 20 minutes. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your attention. I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you, and have a great day.